All right, I don't see our trainer yet, but I'm sure she'll come here the next time. So Sandra is going to be running the training this morning. Morning, Peg.
Good morning.
Hello.
Have you recovered from your Zoom hangover yet?
No, I'm still working on it. I'm getting ready to try to get my house in some kind of semblance today as well. Do some work, get my house unpacked. I still haven't unpacked from my trip to Idaho and Vegas, so I need to do that at some point as well.
I know how that is. I know how that is. We've been doing the social media with Fraser Brooks and Charlene, the Instagram girl, and Jessie Lee Ward all day yesterday, 9 to 5, and we're doing it all day again today, 9 to 5. And I quickly ran out and mowed the lawn so that I could jump on the LinkedIn training last night. So I was like, wow, I get this Zoom hangover thing.
No,
Oh my gosh, that's a
Peter,
whole
what-
lot of energy. Jessie Lee, Fraser Brooks, and Charlene.
right.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of energy.
We'll have to share what we've learned. So anyway, there's our trainer right on time. So Sandra, over to you.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Now, we gained a lot of insight into ourselves and our businesses from the speakers at the Most Powerful Women Conference, and it certainly has generated a lot of conversation, hasn't it? And we heard words like confidence, dream big, visualize your dream life, show up every day, be authentic, courageous, love yourself. And one I especially like and is relative today is speak, because the world needs to hear your voice. So what I'm going to talk about today is not a new subject, but it's a very important one, and it's follow-up. And every one of the attributes that I've just mentioned is very important in this task. And I want you to think of all of those attributes when you are doing your follow-up. So the idea is never to get off the phone or leave a one-on-one meeting without having a next step planned. That is to say that follow-up has to be brought into the initial conversation when you're inviting someone to look at a tool or you're doing a one-on-one presentation. So you determine when your contact will have the time to view your tool and then schedule the follow-up call. So you know that expression, the fortune is in the follow-up. So what we're doing is planting seeds of information, and then we follow up, get a decision, and our business flourishes. People make a mistake sometimes in giving information out and expecting the contact to call them back. So don't get caught up in thinking they'll call you if they're interested. Or another thing is worrying that they're probably too well off, or maybe they're too healthy to be interested in what you have to offer, and then you don't follow up. People rarely call you back. And even if they appear interested, they probably won't call you back. So the job of follow-up is ours. So it's important to be organized with our calls. So keeping track of everyone you speak to, everyone you call, everyone you meet, and move forward the date to the next scheduled time that you've set up to contact them as a follow-up. So you can use whatever method of keeping track is working best for you. Maybe it's electronic, even index cards, or the old-fashioned way that I use, which is in a notebook. And make notes also. I keep notes of the conversation of what was said. So be professional also with your approach and continue to follow up regularly without pressuring anyone or being attached to the outcome. And your attitude when you're on the phone will make an impression on your prospect. You're going to meet all kinds of different responses, and it's really wonderful when someone shows immediate interest and over a short period of time becomes involved with you. but the majority of people you talk to will need to see and hear from you and receive messages from you many times. There's a rule of 7 I've heard in marketing that advises that a person needs information or follow-up 7 times before making a decision. There's no proof of this number, but what is undeniable is that in our type of marketing that we do, it must be an ongoing process. Maybe they don't honor the scheduled time you've set up for follow-up. Maybe when you call, they haven't looked at the material, even though they said they would. And they aren't sure, they aren't ready to make a decision. So I ask you to show compassion towards them. Life does get in the way. And even though their intention may have been there, something came up unexpectedly. And here's an example of a good response to this. No problem, I totally understand. And if you're still interested in intending to look at this, I'm happy to give you a call back later. Just tell me a time frame that works for you and I'll put it in my calendar. Then mark it down, and please don't forget to follow up when you said you would. You'd be wise to be conversing with more than 1 or 2 people. Don't focus on 1 or 2 only, hoping and hoping that soon they'll make a decision. It's better to be talking to 10 or 20 people ongoingly and to drip information to them. This works because eventually, when the time is better for them, some will join you. Our contact list is called a living list because we are meant to add new contacts to that on a regular basis. This adds to the number of follow-ups that we have to be responsible for. I want you to focus on, and this will be part of your assignment today, to look at those old contacts that have been hanging around for a long time. I had spoken to a woman as far back as 2013 and kept dripping information to her for a long time. Each time was a bad time, and I finally gave up in 2018. But I kept her in my maybe box. Some of you may have heard that I had 2 boxes, a no box and a maybe box. And this year, in March, I called her again to find out how she was managing in the COVID pandemic and how she was doing. She was so appreciative that I reached out to her. She was now happy. She was settled in her new life after a divorce, retired, and ready to hear about a CA again. April 5th, she became a preferred customer, and she's now satisfied. I dripped information recently to a group of contacts with a short message containing a quote by Dr. Martin Morin from his recent guest appearance on the doctor's webinar. Then I found a photo of him, that photo where he had put renew only on half of his, one side of his face. And it's a wonderful example of before and after. And so far, since sending that bunch of emails out, a doctor who has a central nervous system problem and who tried a SIA for 3 months only and then stopped back in 2019, replied to my dripped information, and he said these words, "Pretty impressive. Maybe I'll give it a try now again." And we're scheduled to have a talk. So today your assignment is to go through your contact list and drip some information onto those who have been hanging out on that list for a while. So just check in with them, to connect with them, and to know how they're doing and find out if this is a better time for them to look at what you have. It's that contact, letting them know that you're still here, that you're still doing what you've been doing, that it's still working for you, and you're still passionate about it. So let's go to our calls now, and then we'll get back together in 20 minutes.